recycle.in.gov. With that, I'll turn the meeting over to Tara Wessler-Henry for a brief welcome and introduction. Yes.
And just for my information, Kelly and Representative Arrington, are they on?
Yeah, Kelly is on,
Matt Gratz is on.
yeah,
You said Bruce is on as well?
Bruce is here. And, yes, Representative.
Deanna, I will just be attending to listen in. I'm really not prepared to participate.
No, you're fine. We didn't expect you here at all, so we're always happy to have you around.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Bruce.
Hey, Dallas, can you have it where we can see
Everybody.
all the screen? Yeah, all the windows. It should be, okay, well, there you go.
There we go. Thanks, everybody. Welcome, everyone. We're gonna get started with the meeting. Board members, have you had a chance to review the minutes for consideration and approval? And once someone wants to approve that, please feel free to throw a motion out there.
The only thing, I was here in person, it says I was here in Zoom, especially.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get that
With
changed.
the change, okay.
Yeah.
Is there a motion with the change of Representative Yoder being in presence in person? Sorry.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes with the adjustment of Senator Yoder being in person.
Motion by Mr. Lutz, second. Motion, okay, and we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Hatman? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Gary?
Yes.
Okay, Nina?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and then Kelly Weger
Yes.
and Matt Gratz?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, motion has been approved and carried to accept the minutes. Okay, item update. Looks like we have on screen.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? Good. Good morning, everybody. Sorry I can't be there in person this morning. Yeah, just a few updates from items perspective. First, we do have a new item staff training and development director that has been added to our staff. Her name is Amanda Hall, and she reports directly to our chief of staff, Parvani Stover. I have met her a couple of times and had some really good conversations. I know Pat Daniel has already met with her, and most of our other managers in our office of program support. Really excited to have her on staff. I think she's going to bring a lot of great staff development opportunities and leadership development opportunities for our staff at the agency that has not been in place before. So she comes with a wealth of knowledge and experience in leadership training through State Department of Corrections, through the federal government corrections, and several other places as well. So I'm really excited to have her on board. So we also are going to have a presence out at the State Fair this year. We haven't had that since pre-COVID. So we're really excited about that. Pat Daniel, Jessica Irvine, Jennifer Hellreigel in our office have done a lot of the heavy lifting on that. And we have a lot of volunteers from our staff across the agency that are going to be manning that booth. Every day that the fair is open, we will be inside the DNR's building. So we'll be in the air conditioning, which is good, especially given this weekend. So yeah, we'll be doing the Cahoots game that kids really seem to enjoy when we did that last time at the State Fair. So excited to be back out and getting in front of all those folks that come through the DNR building every day at the State Fair. Governor's Awards for Environmental Excellence we have a new staff person working on that, Caitlin Carroll. She started in May, the very end of May, and she is off and running with picking that up and getting it across the finish line, so to speak. She's got review committee meetings set up, and we are hoping that the commissioner will make a decision next month on those. And those, as you probably recall, are presented at the Partners for Pollution Prevention Annual Conference in September, which will be on September 20th this year, again at the Marriott on the north side of Indianapolis. And as a reminder to you all, if you are interested in attending that conference, registration is open. And Pat and Deanna have informed me, I wasn't aware of this, but they wanted me to also remind you all that, you know, if you wanted to attend that, RMDP could pay for your registration and, you know, daily travel expenses related to that. So just a reminder on the reimbursement that you guys can take advantage of as Recycling Market Development Board members. We also have a e-waste collection event that will be happening this Saturday morning in Sullivan County at the Sullivan High School from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. We're going to have about 10 or a dozen item staffers volunteering to help with that effort. And we have ERI as our contractor that will be collecting all of the electronics to be recycled. And they're also going to have about, I think, 12 to 16 staff people there, which is really great because, as you may recall, the one we did in Seymour last fall in November had a huge turnout. We recycled a lot of electronics down there, so we're hoping to have a similar turnout for this event as well. Recycling Roundtable is scheduled for August 30th from 2 to 3:30. Deanna might have some additional details on that. And I think my last update is that there were some changes to the board. The Legislative Council met recently and had a change from Representative Shabley, who is being replaced by Representative Lori Goss Reeves. So I think I hit all of my updates, and I will turn it over to Deanna. I think she has a update on the solid waste infrastructure and recycling grant. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, and just a couple notes on Carl's updates. Yeah, the next recycling roundtable discussion announcement should be out next week. And we're focusing on successful compost operations and organic collection for the next one. And we hope to, I did send out a notice to Representative Lori Goss Reeves and welcoming her to the board. It's summer, sometimes it's hard to get a response back, so I haven't got a response back, but we hope to get her oriented and attending the next meeting. So, yeah.
Make sure, we need to get a letter to Shively for Bruce to sign on the board, thanking her for her.
Yes, I wanted to do that as well. So, we'll definitely thank Representative Shively for the many years that she was on the board and her interest and participation. It was always appreciated. Next item is the EPA Swiffer grant. That's solid waste infrastructure for recycling grant. We did give an update last meeting that item received $572,000 in 65, or not 65 cents. Let me start that again. $572,065 to implement a state materials management plan. The last solid waste plan that was done for Indiana was in 1990. So we are past due. and we're fortunate enough to have enough money there that after we are able to implement the state plan, we have pass-through dollars for local plans to be created that will have built off of a template or guidelines in the state plan. So solid waste management districts, municipalities, counties can apply for funding to do their own plans as well. The timeframe, we did submit the final work plan item at the end of May, and then we anticipate the grant period beginning in October. It's a 3-year grant. So we anticipate roughly a year and a half for the statewide plan. We have to go through an RFP process to get a contractor to do the plan. So that takes roughly 6 months at least. And then the second half of the grant will be then the pass through and funding of the local plan. You guys have any questions on that? Yep, Terry?
Refresh my memory, do counties have to have a solids management plan?
They do not. Well, so with some caveats there. In the 1990 solid waste plan that was created for the state, there is a requirement as solid waste management districts were created, and I think this is also in statute, that they had to, and you can also tell me, a plan at that time. And there was very little on instruction on when it needed to be updated or anything like that. So some solid waste districts plans are still from that first time period of when they were created. There is some multi-county districts, solid waste districts that have since separated and become their own county district. And at that time of becoming a district, they are also required to have a plan. It's been kind of hard to put teeth into that though, and really make sure that they have that plan as well. And with little funding to make those, I think it's been a challenge too.
I was curious because I was talking to a county a couple weeks ago and asked for their solid waste management plan, and they didn't have one.
I think that we're talking to solid waste districts too, that as new directors come on board and stuff, if they haven't had a plan since that very first one, it's lost. So
We encourage districts to have their own plans just because plan is a good idea, no matter what you're doing in life. So some of them do have updated plans, but it's voluntary,
yeah.
so.
Any other questions?
Back to me.
Star, Deanna.
Next on our agenda is just a update of the existing grants. Fiscal year 22 grants still have 2 closed, 6 that had the 1-year amendments. Do have 1 grantee +5 that's reached out to me that has greatly expanded the scope of the project. It's still the same project, but it's just a much bigger scope. And in addition to supply chain issues, is planning to come to our next board meeting to ask for a second extension. He's gonna have a lot of work has been done on this one. So just, I told him, I said, the board's been burnt on seeing an extension where the work hasn't been done. So you know, come in and present and show that this project's gonna get done with the additional time frame that you're asking for. So they will be here at the next board meeting. Fiscal year 23, we already have Rumpke, who has submitted their paperwork for reimbursement, and they'll be closing out. And I've got an update from Recycle Force with their new building. They are behind schedule as well, but they do still hope to have their grant completed by the grant expiration, the 1-year time frame. And now we are going to be awarding fiscal year 24 proposals at the next board meeting. So we did receive 23 applications, totaling $5.6 million in requested funding, with a total project cost of nearly $15 million. I've been doing the reviews. 19 of those 23 are still eligible for after the initial review, and they are undergoing compliance checks currently. those, compliance checks as well as our item review will hopefully be shared with the board at the beginning of September. With a scoring deadline of at the end of September for the October board meeting. Those will be shared via Teams again. I still plan on using that platform. I know that we have had some problems with access. It is kind of can be glitchy. People have been removed randomly.
No, I'm not, but we have an issue too. I mean, across the road.
So go in, my recommendation is just go in early or go in now. Please make sure that you have access to Teams and let me know now if you don't. We can come up with, emailing the things or whatnot, alternative if we don't get it figured out. But it sometimes does take a couple weeks of troubleshooting. You it was a couple months. But
I'm finally back in.
And it was weird, because like in Sandy's case, she was there listed as a member. And so I didn't know what else to do to get her access. They said it was fine. And so we were at a standstill and a stall, and I looked again this week and she wasn't listed as a member anymore. So it was a matter of just adding her back in.
Magic.
Yeah. And then I just did want to share that, this is kind of an internal, decision, on the back end of the administration of the grants, but with a lot of the current supply chain issues, timeframes for grants, that go through, these fiscal year 24 grants, we, are gonna move probably to an 18-month, grant agreement versus the 12 months. So, and we did, the received proposals were, they gave us timeframes and those are all 12-month timeframes, because we did have that in the guidelines. But this will give us just that kind of flex so that we're not necessarily having to do so many amendments, and because most of our amendments are usually for time extension. The last update is on going back to our last existing fiscal year 20 grant that we had with Growing Green. If you recall from our last meeting, Stephanie had asked to be here again today. I have talked to her, and she does have an update on the process. I included the letter in your team's board packet as well that she sent us regarding the progress, but I asked her to go ahead and speak with you guys today. If you want to come to the front of the room, we'll talk to them, Stephanie. Just if you want, yeah, I know we don't have a podium this time, just by me.
Okay, well, I wanted to say, first, I wasn't looking forward to this. But I thought it was necessary. I felt like the last board meeting, I owed you guys an apology. I felt like I brought forward my thoughts on the vision and the direction to go with cash match. And I realized that I did so coming from a place with a project where we weren't able to meet our cash match. And so I came in on a high horse that I didn't own. And I just owed you all an apology for that. And so this time I thought, and I'm sorry. So this time I thought I would come in more from a place of gratitude. And I wanted to let you know, I thought maybe that would be a nice place to start. And I wanted to let you know, we did come into this without a cash match. And the board, some of you I don't recognize, some of you I do. And you supported us in a time when we really needed that. And so it's a great thanks that we owe you as well. So I thought maybe I'd share just how this, it's not quantifiable in terms of cash, but it was nonetheless important to us. So when you guys, the day that you guys approved that award for us, before I even got to the car in the parking lot, I had the board on the phone, and you could hear, I'm surprised you guys couldn't hear them. Just the excitement that somebody had taken a chance on the project. And we were so thankful. And so before I even got to Martinsville then, I don't think my car touched the pavement. And I went straight to, Senator Bray's office, and he wasn't there, so I told his dad, we got this, we got it. And then I went and introduced ourselves, myself and, our project and our board then to the Chamber of Commerce president. And she loved it. And so the momentum that you guys gave us from accepting us was just incredible, an incredible push forward. And then from that meeting with the chamber president, she said, oh my gosh, we need to tell the community about this. And we thought, yes, absolutely. And so we did, and that's kind of where we spiraled into a little bit of issue. And so one thing I would share from this experience is, when you have a project, or if you guys get another project like this or a big one, there's a couple of different ways that people can go to accomplish this. One of them is to go straight to the public and get their support first. The second is the route we took, which in hindsight, I don't know is the best. We thought that by getting all of our architectural drawings, all of the renderings done, we could show people what the vision was. And so before we introduced it to our community, our local community, we had the renderings completed, the design for the facility completed. We had pictures to show what we were talking about. And right before we got those, about 2 weeks before we got those, we in conjunction with the president of the Chamber of Commerce thought it was a great idea to give a presentation locally. And so we didn't quite have our pictures ready, and we gave the presentation, and it started a whirlwind of panic in Martinsville that it was going to be a garbage dump. And I think, we probably all have those aunts and uncles in our counties of some facilities that might operate, and they're not, they don't look the best. And so I think that's what our local community envisioned, and we didn't have the images. It was about 2 to 3 weeks before we had the actual images from the companies we were working with to do this for us. And so a headwind started in front of us of that this was going to be a garbage dump. It was going to be an eyesore on the landscape. And we kind of hit that, and momentum just started kind of coming off. So if I had it to do over again, I think I would have waited until we had the renderings completed so that we could show the community members when we introduced the project to them what we were looking at. Then there were a couple of other things behind the scenes. There was an individual that was running for county council, and this we had no idea. But they had already earmarked that property for a truck stop. And we didn't know that, and we got in their way. And so they were kind of instrumental also in putting out there that we were going to be a garbage dump. And I met with him individually, and I told him I said, we're not, here's what we've got. And he said, oh, I know you're not going to be a dump, but they don't know it. And I said, well, would you say publicly that that we're not going to be a dump? And he said, no. And then what is campaign? And so the citizens out there don't know that they rallied against an eco park with conservation space and a recycling facility and really neat technology for a truck stop. They still don't know that's potentially on the horizon, but we'll let them deal with that when it comes. But all of that to say that when we hit those kinds of headwinds, we had to pivot our project. And the pivot that we took moved from a solid stream to an e-waste. And so to the old saying about eating an elephant, we learned to kind of set our goals a little bit lower so that they were more attainable. So at the same time, a friend of ours reached out with a local organization, and he's a specialist in the e-waste field, and we're very excited. And I think the next direction for us is to get an e-waste processing stream going in his facility that will help us generate income for Growing Green so that we can move forward with where we see this project going in smaller increments. However, that move and change towards e-waste takes us out of the scope of the original grant that we asked for. So we're giving that back, but we wanted to say that we're extremely grateful to all of you for the hope and positivity that you injected, you know, to really keep us going. We wouldn't actually be where we are now had it not been for that. So even though we're not able to utilize the funding, right now, we've got a good direction because you took a chance on us. So we're very thankful. So yes, so I owe you our gratitude, and we're looking forward to continuing and keeping you guys updated, even though we're not, you know, we won't be with you, but we'll keep you updated on our progress.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just real briefly, I meant to give the background for the board members that weren't part of the board when we did award this. The original grant was for a Machine X PET optical sorter. For our part was $249,175. And it was awarded back in October of 2019 with an executed date of March of 2020. So that's just to give you the background so you can see how the scope has changed over the time as well. But
I'm not quite sure how to say this, but the word dump. The solid waste industry for years has tried to educate the general public against using the word dump, because dump has a different connotation as, especially landfills, than what it really is. And so we've always tried to use the word sanitary landfill or some other terminology other than the word dump. So if you come through this again, you might try to figure some terminology to describe what you're trying to do that educates the public against the word dump, because it's just the connotation.
That's a great idea.
But
Yeah.
maybe what she was describing there wasn't a sanitary landfill. People were visualizing.
So I'm just saying,
Yeah, but you know, the people that thought that this was gonna be a dump, really thought it was gonna be a pile of junk. They weren't thinking about a sanitary landfill.
Yeah, even when we use the term recycling facility, I mean, that was the next step that all of our local citizens made, well, it's gonna be a garbage dump. And we didn't know how that connection was, we didn't know the back end that was going on, but we didn't know how that connection was made between a recycling facility and a garbage dump. We were a bit blindsided by that.
It's happening in Connersville right now. We have a recycling facility coming to Connersville, and it is a hot topic. Everyone said it's gonna be a dump. And a lot of it refers to the fire we had in Richmond, because we got that smoke coming down to us. And that is a hot topic right now because they're afraid it's gonna turn exactly what happened in Richmond. And they're concerned about it because it's going into an old Ford company place. And it's gonna be sharing a place with a cabinet maker as well, but it's gonna be a recycling facility just for plastics. And is an uproar right now in Connersville, where I live. It's a huge uproar.
You know, I mean, I don't know if we made a lot of connections with the architectural design of the facility itself. And we're willing to share that with anybody who's putting in a recycling facility. I mean, neat technologies that are inexpensive, but currently not really being utilized here in the US. Solar glass is one of them. You know, it's not just solar panels, but solar glass. We made contact with a company. You can put in the windows of your facility can help offset your operating costs. We've got the contacts of the guys that designed the Disney there's a McDonald's and Disney that runs completely off of solar glass. So if you guys have any recycling facilities, not garbage dump, recycling facilities, we'd be happy to share with them any of the information that we've gotten, any of the contacts that we've made, and it might help. Maybe don't say our name, but it might help them in their struggle, because it really is a real thing when you try to establish a facility. It's like, yeah, there's a public misconception.
It's coming no matter what, is what we used to say. They don't have a choice in the matter. It's already been sold, it's already been taken care of. Then they did the release of the announcement, so.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been big press.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
Yes, have a good rest of your meeting.
Yes, sir.
Is the facility you're talking about in Collinsville, the old Ford,
It is.
Ford Pilco.
Yep.
what are they planning on putting?
Nova Chemicals
Yep.
is, Novalex is
Yeah.
doing a plastic film.
Yeah, I think about 124 jobs will come into it. And then part of that, because it's like, there's 40 acres under cover, under roof there. And then part of that, there was already a cabinet making facility there, so they're gonna share the space.
My parents worked there back in the 50s.
Oh, really?
My family did too, and I
Our little Detroit area.
Yeah.
have the original badges of my dad, from Rex. He was the old Rex plant.
Yep.
All the way through the Ford filter, so
Yeah,
they've had a hard time finding the right fit for that building.
we have had a very hard time finding the right fit, yes.
Is it Wazada that is still there? WAYZTA, the cabinet?
Yep. Yeah, they're still there and they will stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank goodness.
That would be like the same facility that Novalex has in North Carolina.
That's why I'm comparing it to, yes, I've been doing some research to see about the company, so, yeah. Fine with me. Okay, moving on with the agenda. Thank you, everyone, for your feedback. Let's move on to House Bill 1512. And do we have someone here, Deanna, to talk about that?
It does not look like we do.
In your packets, you should have seen the letter that was submitted about House Bill. I don't know if you had a chance to look that over. Thank you for putting that together, Deanna and Bruce. And then we should, like, we have someone to represent.
Yeah, so in that letter, yeah, we asked, those authors to kind of come, our legal team didn't really want to provide that interpretation that the authors could provide. So that's why we went that route, and, Bruce was, yeah, very big help in sending that out, but I believe, and I don't know if he's able to respond, but that he did say that he thought someone was gonna be able to speak on it, but I don't see anybody on our Zoom or in the room, so we can kind of just keep speaking of it, and if someone wants to speak up, we can do it, but in that letter, I wanted to make the note that so you guys, the board at the last meeting had basically 3 questions for clarification. Who the applicant was, the time frame of the next round, second round, and then the third was the cash, or well, the total amount, the total award amount. The first question about eligibility, I did also print out a copy of the statute for you guys to look at. When I looked at it after the 2023 IC codes went out, they added a 0.05 with a definition of applicant. So it says, applicant states, as used in this chapter, applicant means a person or company from the private sector. So that one's laid out pretty clearly and boldly for us. So the second round will be, unless we see changes to this bill in the next legislative session, this will be restricted to the private sector.
Deanna,
Yeah,
I did check with the industry lobbyist, and he was involved in monitoring this all the way through, and I called him yesterday. He did say the same thing you just said, that it was clear. The intent of that statute was to restrict this to the private sector,
which,
so that's clear.
yeah. The other question that we were kind of looking into was like the time frame, because at one point it says 1 year from the first round of awards, which would mean February, right, of 2023 or 2024 for the next round. And then it lays out that the July 1st is when IDEM will make the applications available. And they will accept, it says very plainly in the code that IDEM will accept applications through October of 2024, providing recommendations to the board by December 1st. without further clarification, really, that, I think that those are the ones that are laid out in statute with specific dates. We can, start working on guidelines and then lay a little bit of the groundwork starting next February, but I think we need to stick to the timeframe that's laid out with the July, October, December, for that. Yeah,
But we still don't know whether the money left over from last time is carried over.
and that's the
And
final.
That's huge.
That's the final clarification that we still don't have a good, and ultimately, I know the board doesn't want to hear this probably, but it's up to you guys. I think you're the ones that have to interpret what is in state statute and in code. And carry out what is there.
Did, I don't know if Bruce can respond to this or not, but did Representative Speedy respond at all? I mean, this is in his ballpark. I mean, they're the ones that did this, and this is the second time this stuff has come out of the legislature not clear. We had a problem last time because of the word, pilot project. You know, and now we get something from the legislature again that's not clear. And I think it's his responsibility to inform us as to how much money we actually have to work with.
I would hate to go into this and assume we have more. And then we go after it and we go, because this is a lot of money. And it's a lot of money and it's a lot of time and effort behind the scenes to put these applications together and do these studies and put these programs together. And I would hate to go into this thinking that we have more in the kitty or in the bank that is not there. And then we have to go back and say, oh yeah, by the way, you don't get it. And then as they started to do the wheels changing and the wheels turning, and then it kind of something implodes that we didn't know. So I would think that myself as board, without knowing that we had, the hope is I'm probably gonna go, unfortunately, fall to the lowest amount. Right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if we do have more and we don't, you know, we could not be giving somebody that could really help the goals and the aspirations that, you know, we all want to see for to meet the, you know, the 50% goal of the state. So
Deanna, this is Bruce.
Hi, Bruce.
We hear
ya.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. I'm sorry I was not able to go back and find the emails back from the legislative aides or whatnot, but I think it's imperative that we continue to try to get some type of definitive answer from Representative Speedy in this regard. For both answers that you outlined so eloquently in your letter that you drafted. I do apologize to the board for not being able to obtain those answers, and I do believe I was not delirious. I believe there was a commitment for someone to participate in our meeting today, but they may have thought it was at the government center. Who knows? I can't make excuses. All I know is I know what I saw in the return emails that I received. So, but I think it's important that we have a clear definition prior to moving forward with any awards beyond what's available in the bill, particularly when we consider that past amount. We don't want to give that away if we're not certain we have it available. Thank you. I apologize for not being there.
No apologies needed, Bruce. Thank you for your diligence on this and all your help.
Yeah, and so the good news is we do have time still to get these questions answered. We can, and speaking to what Bruce is saying, is, getting an answer from Representative Speedy, maybe we can try to see if he'll meet one-on-one, facilitate a meeting that way. And still kind of,
Again, I'm not like a lawyer or anything, but I do read on the second page, it said the Indiana Recycling Market Development Board may do the following: use funds allocated but not used in the previous round of grants to award grants to applicants in the subsequent round. So if they say no, I question that statement in there, why it's in there.
right, and it's just very contradictory to the statement later that says up or no more than
Yeah.
2 million.
Yeah, it also says that.
Yeah.
This is Sue. This is Sue. Since my colleague is representing Speedy, I'd be happy to reach out to him personally to see if we can get a better clarification than what we have now. And maybe ask him to speak with Bruce or with Deanna.
That'd be perfect. Yeah, we would really appreciate that.
Gentle nudge.
Thank you.
And then
So with that being said, the last part about House Bill 1512 that I did want to establish today was, it does ask us, the board, to create a cash match, or set a cash match, and I think that would be, this is a good meeting since we have a little less on our agenda to go ahead and have that discussion and determine what cash match we would like to see for the next round of Central Indiana Waste Diversion projects.
I'm like 50%.
That's what it usually is, right? I know, CRGP grants are a little different, but they're smaller. Mhm.
I like for them to have some skin in the game.
Mhm. I don't disagree with any of that comment. The only question is that as a 50% match, is that gonna lower the playing field? Lower the applicants? If somebody goes after the full $2 million, they have to have $2 million that they're gonna match up. Which, in this industry, we know it's not cheap to process, run, sort, equipment, things of that nature, facilities, land. That would be my only thing at 50, half and half is, we wanna make sure we've got players that come to the yes, that submit to, for us to consider too.
I guess. Still thinking through this, but you mentioned facilities and lands as part of the project costs.
Well, I'm just saying, yeah.
Yeah, but,
That's probably, I don't
we
think.
need to
that's
also
probably-
make it clear the 50% cash match, is just cash match. Line item by line item. Or if you wanted other, I think it says in statute, now that I'm talking out loud, that it's a cash match.
It says cash, yeah.
So that wouldn't be able to.
It can't be
used as a
any kind.
match.
the wishes of the board.
You move forward with 50%. I look at it because I know that from the ERI standpoint, the board, before I came on the board, and given us money and we advanced.
Yep.
And I know this is a different, different round and a different set of criteria, but I think it's important that the local companies, whether big or small, medium, whatever it is, they've got it, and Debbie put, full skin in the game from that standpoint of it's an investment, but it's also, the state's also making the investment, so.
Mhm.
I think 50% is a safe number. Because it doesn't matter if you're the mom and pop that needs $100,000. You can come up with that other piece of it, or if it's in a Republic or somewhere or an ERI saying, hey, we need $1 million. it depends on the size of your company, you should be able, if you're really wanting to expand, to have that money out there. So I think the 50% is a safe number. And we say consistent because the other one's a 50% too.
Correct.
So I mean, that way as a board, we kind of said, okay, these are the guidelines, no matter what kind of grant we set up. 50%, 50%, it makes it easier for us to manage from that standpoint to understand. That's just my feelings right now. Correct me if I'm wrong, Terry. No, I think there's consistency with 50%, yeah.
I
So I
agree.
understand what
I'll make a
Greg
motion.
is
Can you
saying.
make a motion on that, Deanna? Probably.
The bigger applicants are gonna have the money.
Right, that's, yeah.
So I want to make a motion to 50%.
I can make a motion for the 50% match towards the grant.
Second. Okay, roll call vote. Yes. Let's.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Mr. Noonan.
Yes.
Diane.
Yes.
And then we have Kelly Weeger.
Yes.
And remaining schedule, next on the agenda, 2023 schedule, next is October 26th. That will be going over the applicants. And before we have any comments from the audience,
It's going
anything
to,
else?
yeah, I was gonna mention that the next meeting. It's gonna, that's gonna be ready to be there the full time probably. If we have this full 19 grants to award, but we will also have a representative from the Office of Energy. There's a statute still in place from when the board was created that funding opportunities or grants that the Office of Energy wants to do, it has to get board approval. So they'll be there to speak on that and get our approval. And then, as I mentioned, +5 will be here for their amendment requests. So we're gonna have a full meeting, just that next meeting, so just wanted to bring that up and let me know as soon as possible if you have conflicts and can't be there, because obviously that's the one we like to see everybody be able to attend.
Yeah, I will probably be virtual. That's fall break week, and also we're in the midst of harvest.
Oh, boy.
So I will try to be virtual best I can. It's a busy week.
Yeah, similar, Deanna. This is Kelly. I've got a conference that's on my calendar. Haven't booked anything yet, but it's that entire week. So there might be a conflict, or at the very least, I might be virtual.
Yeah, so the rest of the board, let me know if we don't have a quorum, we can look into another date, right around there as well. So, just keep me updated on that.
Board members, anything else you want to say? Just happen?
Just, Bruce, prayers to you for, getting well and health and get better.
Listen to your doctors.
Thank you all very much.
Kelly, do you have anything to add?
Nope, just same. Bruce, get better soon.
Mr. Gratz, do you have any additions?
No, sorry I lost you guys earlier. I got in a dead spot, but I have nothing else to add.
Anyone else in the audience? Need a motion to it?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
What you were thinking, Craig, is like.
Thanks. I feel like this might have been our shortest meeting ever.
I was just about to say that, it may be.
It's inside 10 o'clock and we started a little after 9. Touche, like it.